Hello and welcome to our latest Business Spotlight interview. Today it's my pleasure to be joined by Paudie Fearon, founder and managing director at We Are Wibble. Paudie, delighted you could join us. How are you today?
I'm good. Yeah, thanks, Rich. Not doing too badly. Yeah, for a Monday,
Good.
you know.
Aye, for Monday. No, that's great. Look,
Yeah.
why don't you share with us who you are, what you do, and how long you've been doing it for?
Okay, so I'm Paudie Fearon. I am the founder and managing director of a specialist web design and development studio based in Belfast called Wibble, or We Are Wibble. And we do websites more or less. So I actually set it up. We're almost 10 years. In the next couple of weeks, Wibble will be 10 years old. So I
Happy
started
birthday.
off. Thank you. Like I identify as Wibble more or less. So thank you. So I set Wibble up, in 2013 as a freelancer.
Very good, yeah.
Just to do that. No intention of ever being anything other than a freelancer, and now it's sort of grown and developed into its own sort of wee monster as a fully fledged studio.
Excellent. Very good. Very good. So who's your ideal customer then?
Our ideal customer is basically anyone with a WordPress site. So we only work in one content management system, WordPress, which you're probably aware of, but it runs about 40% or so of all the websites in the world. So we only work in one. Back when I started off, for financial reasons and lots of reasons, I did lots of things, print and design and Shopify stuff and different things. And then after a couple of years, I realized I wanted to specialize in something and be known for doing one thing really well, as opposed to just being more or less a jack of all trades and doing tons and tons of signage and logos and business cards and Shopify and all of that. So we only work on WordPress. So to answer your question, it is a more or less a small to medium sized business generally that has a WordPress site or needs a WordPress site that they have the marketing resources and time to actually put into growing and developing and having a marketing strategy around that website. Be it an in-house marketing person or team or an outsourced one. But a website is never done. When it's launched, that's the easy part. The easy part's done whenever it's launched. Then it's the maintenance and growth, and you're pandering to Google for a lot of this sort of stuff. So changes Google makes that we have to react to, and things break. Tech moves and servers move and PHP versions change and all that, and we have to move with it. So it's a business that understands this and has the time and effort and finances to really build upon a website and put some effort in behind it. And a lot of our clients are now that size and scale and have that understanding, and it's really refreshing and a pleasure to work with them.
Good. I was going to say, you have to realize that it's a constant change, a constant state of change. It's ever what do you call it, like metamorphosis. It's constantly growing and developing, isn't it?
It's constantly evolving. Like even our own site, it's not just me preaching saying you have to do all this. Like our own site, we spend quite a lot of time month in, month out, tweaking it and changing it and auditing it and adding content, and we've a schedule for all of our staff that we have to do content updates and changes and blogs and insights and that sort of stuff. It is pandering a little to the search engines, but it also gives us a chance to work on our site and follow the advice that we give out to any customers that we bring on.
Good. So what's been your biggest learning since you've been a business owner across these last sort of 10 years?
I think, well, I without wanting to sound patronizing, but I'm constantly learning new things, and it's never a done deal. But I suppose I learned the most right at the very start. There was probably a naivety to me when I started it. You know, I don't come from a business background myself. I'd always just worked for fairly big companies and agencies and the likes, and had no real desire to do it when I was working for them. So wasn't really paying attention to how the setup and contracts and all that there sort of stuff. So I had a naivety to more or less how to manage clients. You know, I thought, you know, if you send an invoice to a client, even though it has 30 days on it, they would pay it in a day or two. Or, you know, you'd send them a contract, or you'd send them a concept for a design, and they'd sign it off that day, or you know, and these sort of things. I didn't take into account just how busy people are, or things change and all that there. So my biggest learning curve has been, you know, the complexity of working with other businesses, and taking some element of appreciation for what they're going through, and supporting them, and not hounding them all the time, and allowing them to work on things. But, you know, I've learned a lot from, you know, having backups. You know, you might think you have a project about to land in the next day or so, and then you get an email to say, oh, we're out for the next 9 months or something, you know, something. So it's, we always have a number of projects running at the one time and in the pipeline. And we, like we said about the tech earlier on, like we evolve and adapt our timeframes and our pipeline of work because things change.
Yes.
It's I've learned not to be as rigid as I would have liked, or as I thought I needed to be, where project one starts, project one ends, 40 minutes later, project two starts. You know, this naivety I had around workflows and just people in general, and the day-to-day running of a business, I think it would be my biggest one, I would say.
Great. So then, correct me if I'm wrong, I seem to pick up in there that this maybe wasn't something that when you were growing up you always wanted to do. It was run your own business.
No, well, like I come, like my parents ran their own pub for 40 years. So like it's probably in there somewhere in me. Some element of entrepreneurialism and running your own business. It probably has always been in there. I just didn't realize. No, I had no huge desire to fully go out. Like when I was younger, I did a little bit of freelance, but you know, that was sort of on the side. But I suppose, again, maybe lack of confidence and the likes. I never thought the thing that it would ever happen. And then I lived overseas for a number of years, and then when I came back, I decided, do you know what? I didn't have a job, so I was like, do you know what? I'll give this a go and see, more or less. So it's
and you're still giving it a go, and it's still going.
Still giving it a go. But I suppose that's another element of the naivety I had back then, of like, didn't have a business plan, didn't have contracts, or originally that would be another learning curve would be, you know, contracts and the likes. But naivety just thought word of mouth and a handshake and those sort of things would suffice. So yeah, when I moved back from New Zealand, just was like, actually, we'll see how this goes, and if it doesn't work out, I'll get a job, a real job. And 10 years later, I'm still you know, considering a real job. No.
Well, that's fantastic. That's great. So what would you say has been the biggest issue you've had to overcome running your own business?
Certainly at the start, you know, cash flow and pricing. When I started at the beginning, you know, lack of confidence, no experience of running your own business, no reputation. So thought, you know, the only way to really stand out and to differentiate myself was going cheap, and you know, go just undercut. If somebody says they have a budget of X, even though I had quoted a budget of X times 2, I would be like, oh, that's fine. Sure, we'll go with that, and not changing the spec or the requirements. Just going with that. so the pricing was something I really struggled with at the start, and getting that right. And it's taken a while, but you know, I've worked on it over the years, and it's something I'm a lot more comfortable with now.
Good. No, it's always one of those topics, isn't it? Pricing and getting the pricing right. But again, a learning curve. So in terms of yourself, what's the biggest thing you've learned about yourself during this time on this journey?
I suppose I'm a lot more. I have an inner confidence that I just didn't think I had. As a kid, I would have been, you know, dangerously shy,
Yes.
like bordering on aggressively shy, and not wanting any attention or any attention or public speaking or anything like that. Would have avoided it at any cost.
Yes. Yeah.
So I think learning that there's an inner confidence and an inner drive and like just a determination that I didn't think I ever had.
Yes.
I suppose it comes out of more like necessity. I had to get more confident if I wanted it to survive, and I wanted to actually make a living out of this. These things have to come to the fore.
To the fore, yeah. Excellent. And well done you. You know, I can well remember myself, you know, having stage fright and all that sort of stuff, not wanting to be out there, but well done.
I think it's something that never leaves you. You know, I'm still like, even this, I didn't want to do this. My gut was, don't do it. People will be looking at you. So that's why I'm doing it. You know, right. I think my core is a very quiet, shy, retiring person, and I've identified that, and I'm trying to do something about that. And I've been trying to do that. Like you probably didn't see it, but like the BBC did an article about working from home or something, and I tweeted out about it, and John Campbell contacted me to see would I go onto the BBC and do like a very small piece on talking about remote working. So my initial reaction was absolutely no chance. Like almost felt sick basically when he sent me the message. So I said yes. Essentially, I said yes, and that was on the news for 12 seconds or something. But still, it was good to do. And I probably would do it again. But awful, terrible experience.
But it sounds like you're very keen and open to be made uncomfortable, to stretch yourself and come out of that comfort zone, which I suppose is something critical for a business owner.
Yeah, and I'm very driven and determined, you know, just to everything I want to just improve upon. So I try and identify issues with my personal life and my business life and my home life and sporting ability and everything, and just improve upon them ever so slightly day after day and things like that. So it is an area of like self-reflection and improvement, and inability to, like, a lack of confidence and a lack of ability to publicly speak and articulate confidently is something I have really been working on and really pushing myself for.
Fantastic. And all of those areas, that's a great philosophy to live by, just tweaking and improving on every aspect on a daily basis.
Like I don't agree in the whole new year, new you sort of, you know, big grand gestures. Yes, I just think they're unmanageable, you know. So I choose smaller, more doable things, and I try to improve upon them in all aspects of my life. Like it's a full circle, more or less. I don't know. Is it working? But we'll see.
I think it's great advice, no matter. Yeah. So, and I know we touched on this before the recording started, but who inspired you today in business, or just in life? And it doesn't have to be any big name superstar.
Yeah, like we spoke about, I don't like move in those sort of business circles and follow, you know, Richard Branson on LinkedIn and all that there sort of stuff. So I don't have anyone really that people might know, but like, you know, like I said earlier, like my parents like ran a business ran a pub during the Troubles for 40 years. Like I learned a lot. At the time I probably didn't realize, and I learned a lot from them on like even just customer service. Like they wouldn't have called it customer service. That wasn't a thing, but it would have been just like looking after a customer so that they don't go to another pub. More or less, you know, that's simple. And I think I've always, like in my business, I've always put an emphasis on client support and looking after existing clients and trying to help them as much as possible, as opposed to always chasing new clients. Like a huge emphasis on our current ones. So like my parents would certainly be would be an example of that. The only other, when I was trying to think of this earlier on, the only other one, which is like, you know, like Gareth Dunlop who ran Fathom, you know, it's sort of the trajectory I sort of see Wibble on, of becoming subject matter experts in a certain field and then essentially exiting at some stage, and then going on and doing what you want. So I've spoken to Gareth a few times about it, and I Fathom was always an agency I looked up to, and I know a couple of the staff, and I know a few staff that used to work there, and they always spoke really highly of Fathom and of Gareth. So that's sort of what I would like to do with Wibble, you know, grow it and have it known, make it synonymous with high-end specialism in WordPress design and development, and then ultimately exit at some stage. But that's a long way down the road, I think.
Excellent, good shares. So tell me this: what does your future look like then, and what would you see as the main challenges moving forward?
Well,
getting to that stage that you just mentioned.
Yeah, I see. I want, like, it's a very hard target to measure, but in work in the studio, I always go on about our target is for Wibble to be, you know, the best web design and development studio in the island of Ireland to start with, and I do believe we're getting there. We have a very strong reputation. Like, we work with other studios across the island of Ireland where we white label our work, and they just sell it on. So we're relatively well known, but my job is to increase that awareness. So like I want us to grow outside of Belfast and outside of Northern Ireland, and like we've picked up a number of fairly big clients in like Dublin and London of late.
Superb.
And we're like, I have a relatively basic marketing plan of just increasing the awareness of Wibble for us to just be the known web design and development studio, and to help facilitate incoming inquiries, as opposed to, you know, aggressively outgoing and the like, and you coupled with, you know, an SEO plan, and like we're now ranking quite well for a number of the key terms that I targeted about 12 months ago. So we're doing well there, and we're getting more and more generic inquiries coming through. And then once that's my job then to, you know, try and convert them. But we're also most of our work comes from like word of mouth and the likes. So it's a multifaceted approach to increasing the awareness of Wibble, of increasing people's awareness of Wibble, across over the next number of years. You know, going to events, sponsoring, like reaching out to other businesses to partner with them and the like, speaking at events, and that also ties in with me trying to identify like weaknesses in my abilities and targeting them and doing stuff about it. So I see us over the next couple of years just really going for brand awareness. and trying to get more people to know who we are, and for anyone to go, do you know anyone to do a website for us? Oh, Wibble are the people to go to, and that's what I want.
Very good, very good.
We'll
And
get
hopefully the business spotlight puts a wee bit of a spotlight on you and on Wibble, and some of our network then will maybe reach out to you.
There's a selfishness to me coming on this, there's a reason it is, but it's all part of this sort of awareness plan that I have of just getting people to know. And like, I'm putting more emphasis in LinkedIn, I'm trying to increase the awareness of key groups and people and influencers, not influencers, people like business people across the island of Ireland. And reaching out to them and speaking to them, but not doing the hard selling thing, just saying just starting a conversation. And that's what I like about LinkedIn. It doesn't have to be all, buy this. And it's a really good network that I'm really putting a lot of emphasis on, because I didn't put any emphasis on it for the last number of years. And now I'm trying to.
Good. So what would you say, or what would be your piece of advice to anybody who's thinking of going into business for themselves?
And don't do it, be the answer. No.
Don't do it could be the answer, and I think I've had those answers before.
Piece of advice for I'm writing down the question so I don't forget it. A piece of advice for anyone going into business: do your research and do your due diligence, and don't do what I did. Just decided when I came home from New Zealand, sure, I'll give this a go, and didn't work on messaging or pricing or brand, or even things like, I had the wrong domain name. I had gone for a .ie domain, and with this accent, people just assumed I was based in the Republic of Ireland, even though we were based in Belfast. I was targeting the wrong customer. We were going for, because we were really cheap, we were targeting really small, very, very small micro businesses, and they just didn't have the budget or the time or weren't putting in the effort around the websites. And I was trying to sell them a relatively premium product, but not at a premium price, but it still needed all the support along with it. So do your research, have a business plan, have a marketing plan, have a content plan. Try and reach out to people for partnerships and referrals and the likes. It's a very lonely place at the start if you don't know what you're doing, and if like me, you're naive and you're lacking confidence in your own abilities, even though you've gone out and done it, and you've told, like I just told a few people and that was it, and then just sort of sat back hoping for it. And it took a while, and financially really struggled at the start. So just whatever I did, do the opposite. Just do the opposite. If I do a list someday of all the things I did, just like flip it and do the opposite. But plan and have a. If I was very lucky, as in whenever I started, I had a number of freelance clients that I was able to fall back on. So I went from a salary, not to nothing, but to something, but it wasn't enough. So if you could try and have, before you flick the switch and go full time, if you can try and have something built up for a fallback and for income, or even a savings that you have, like 6 months of savings to go for it. And I didn't have that, and I didn't have enough clients to pay the mortgage for the first couple of months, and that fell onto my wife. And even saying it out loud, I'm actually embarrassed about how badly I started this thing. And like now I'm meticulous in planning, and I'm meticulous in quoting and contracts, and everything is done, and we're very process driven in Wibble. We have processes for everything. Like we duplicate templates for everything that we do, and we edit and review them all the time. But we try and go for a consistent, process-driven approach to everything that we do. And back then, I was just winging it.
Yes, yeah.
And you do learn a lot, but I couldn't do it again. Like, you know, based on if I was doing it again and I had to do it exactly the same, I wouldn't do it. It's too stressful.
Yeah.
Just plan and have a fallback and have savings and just don't do it. I did.
Well, Paudie, those are all excellent pieces of advice. Great learnings that you've taken and share. Appreciate you sharing that with our community here. And again, look, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to come on the spotlight and to share like that, and for being so transparent and honest. It's the only way everybody else who's following us and working alongside us is going to learn. So that's great. Really appreciate that. Thank you.
No problem at all. Thanks, Rich. Thanks for having me on.
You're very welcome, and every success going forwards.
Thank you.